It wasn't long ago when I noticed a strange noise coming from the air conditioning unit in the wall of the living room. Now, at first, it sounded almost unidentifiable from the other noises the device would typically make. It started out as a slight clanking sound, only when it was first turned on though. I had just accredited to the, age of the apartment and the appliance within it. I mean, realistically, it wasn't all that old in the grand scheme of things, but without constant upkeep, things tend to break down and fall apart relatively fast. I mean, even so in that instance, everything in my apartment also made some kind of noise, like the washing machine shook, dishwasher sounded like a jet taking off, and the refrigerator would kick on every few minutes and hum so loud I would have to turn the television up just to hear anything over it. So you can see how this really wasn't a big deal for me when the air conditioning started acting up a little bit. So I put it back to mind as just something that comes of age. That was until it started making the noise more and more often. I first noticed it when I turned the thing on and the rattling didn't go away after a minute or two, and, my initial thought was I just had better tell the landlord about this so that maintenance could come down and fix the damn thing. Or so I thought. After a few minutes, again, it just went away and faded into black. A few weeks went by and I noticed other strange occurrences, such as scratching into walls, the electricity flickering in and out, and an occasional thump in the night. Again, all these things could be due to the age of the wiring. Maybe a mouse got into the wall or a noisy new neighbor had moved in. All pretty explainable, I thought. Besides, I worked a lot and I didn't really have a lot of free time to do much about it, so indeed it did not bother me. But when things started to go missing in my tiny one-bedroom apartment, I started to worry. I hadn't been home in what felt like weeks between work, friends, and, I was barely there besides to sleep and bathe. I figured that, a thorough search of the place, to see where my things could have gone, like the TV remote, calculator, and a pair of scissors, and also a shoe. How do I lose a shoe, by the way? Were apparently misplaced. So I went through the room, and which there was only really 4 rooms. I searched high and low to find my things, and as I did, I noticed more and more small, ineffectual things were missing. Strange, I thought. Where could these things have gone? I hit the power button on the TV and sat down in my once familiar armchair, now a stranger in my own forgotten home, and noticed something. My TV wasn't on. I stopped to flip the switch up and down, and again, nothing. Oh, for God's sakes! Now, this is getting a little ridiculous. I got up, twisted the knob on the stereo, again, nothing. I went around, tested all the appliances in my house to see if they were still functioning, again, to no avail. Though, the only thing that was functioning, strangely enough, was the loud air conditioner. It came on with a loud rattle and, ran on for several minutes until it sparked. I heard a loud pop, and then it died. Maybe the power's out. I'll find out in the morning. I thought half-heartedly. I had a hard time sleeping that night. The neighbors were especially loud being without power, and that made me nervous. I woke up the next morning to find that the power was still out. I then took a shower, got dressed, and went over to my neighbor's house to ask if they were having similar problems. I knocked loudly several times, but no answer. I decided enough was enough and went to the maintenance office to complain about this issue and hopefully get it resolved. When I opened the door, the smell of stale smoke swept my, nostrils. The place was a mess, papers and ashes all around the desk, peeling paint, smudges on the windows, and the TV was only static and bolted to the wall. Sitting behind the desk was a thin, graying man who looked as if he hadn't bathed in a week. I told him about how everything was, suddenly not working but the AVC unit, until it sputtered last night. He gave me a sarcastic look with a gruff and grabbed his toolbox, then followed me back to my apartment. Hey, sir, I'm really sorry about this, but I would have called, but nothing seems to be working, and I don't think the electricity is out because the air conditioner was running until it suddenly died.
Well, let's take a look at it, why don't we?
He said, and he went over to the fireplace and unscrewed it, then peered inside. He clicked on his flashlight and went to work unscrewing, checking different things until he stopped suddenly and pulled out a tiny thing attached to the cord that didn't look like it belonged here. He looked at it and didn't raise an eyebrow.
Is this yours?
I couldn't really identify what he was holding, and then I responded with, well, I don't believe so. What in the hell is it?
It's one of them little spy camera thingies you see on the telly. You haven't been having girls over and secretly taping them, have you?
He gave a sly grin. No! What the hell is that even doing in my house? At this point, I was getting scared and irate.
He shrugged. Well, let's see where this wire goes, huh?
He followed the wire with his hand and then stopped and looked inside.
Hey, there's a little hole in here. It goes into the wall.
He pulled out his hammer and started taking chunks out of the drywall and following the cord. I was freaking out. Who put that there? Was a dirty old man watching me? Are there more of these? All these things went through my head as I watched him work.
Well, that explains a lot, he said under his breath.
What is it? I exclaimed.
Looks like somebody rewired your whole outlets over here.
He backed away to show me what he was seeing. But why?
Mikey is stealing your power. I mean, like, you didn't notice anything?
His calmness is what put me on edge. Did he think I was kidding around, or what? And then at that moment, I thought back to the odd noises on my walls, the thumping and then the flickering of lights, as well as other odd and strange occurrences. But one seemed like a normal thing now had my heart racing. I noticed a few things here and there, but I haven't been here a lot lately, and I just thought it was an old place. He gave me a skeptical look and continued following the ever-expanding bunches of wires and cables throughout the place. Some wires would branch off into more tiny cameras and in the hidden vents, and just in the shadows. One was even wired into the eye of one of my pictures. How haven't I fucking noticed these? My heart started beating faster and faster as he discovered more and more. He kept going, and one by one, he found every electrical rewired camera and central component that was in my bedroom. And then my heart stopped. How the fuck long have these things been here?
Not long, I say. Like, we checked the appliances and outlets before we rent the place out.
Well, where does this all lead? He kept knocking holes with his hammer, following the dreaded cables until he finally stopped and looked into his most recent hole with a flashlight.
The space between the walls here get a lot bigger. I think I can fit in here. I see something just going around the corner.
He smashed a big enough hole for him to squeeze just through and disappeared into the bedroom wall. He appeared a few seconds later with a grim, dark look on his face. His skin had gone pale. He was no longer calm and apparently fearless. This man was different and changed.
You're not gonna want to hear this. But there's a little room back there with a bunch of monitors set up with all sorts of crap scattered around. Looks like someone was living in there. No sign of them now.
He swallowed hard.
This place is starting to freak me the hell out. If I were you, I'd move.
I packed my things and left for my mom's that day, not wanting to spend another second in that place. Over the next few days, the police came and investigated the whole scene. They found 20 different monitors and all linked up to a VHS player in the little room with the walls. Surprisingly enough, though, there were no tapes ever found, and neither was the thing that had been watching me those nights. A few weeks later, a box arrived at my mother's doorstep. It was unlabeled, and inside were little things, the things that had gone missing in my apartment. I also found a dirty, ripped piece of paper with barely legible writing scrawled on it. I like your new place a whole lot better. Yours truly, your secret admirer.